एव यस्य
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। जय यशोदानंदन जय ब्रज जन रंजन जय ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तेरा वनचारे जय कुंज बिहारी। जय यमुना तेरा वनचारे जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरस्य श्रीमद् His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada की, ISKCON विविध संस्थापकाचार्य Srila Prabhupada की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरस्य श्रीमद् His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की, नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की, ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की, गंगा माई जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की, कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की, श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, साई गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्या नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः. पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामो राम रामो हरे हरे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 12. Text 19, chapter entitled Beyond Renunciation and Knowledge. Evam gadihi karma gatihi visargo ghrano रसो दृक् स्पर्शः श्रुति च संकल्प विज्ञानम् अथाभिमान सूत्रं रजः सत्व तमो विकारः एवं गति कर्म गतिर्विसर्गो घ्राणो रसो दृक्स्पर्श श्रुतिश्च संकल्प विज्ञानम् अथाभिमान सूत्रं रजसत्वतमो विकार एवं गति कर्म गतिर्विसर्गो घ्राणो रसो दृक्स्पर्श श्रुतिश्च संकल्प विज्ञानम् अथाभिमान सूत्रं रजसत्वतमो विकार एवं गति कर्म गतिर्विसर्गो घ्राणो रसो दृक्स्पर्श श्रुतिश्च संकल्प विज्ञानम् अथाभिमान सूत्रं रजसत्वतमो विकार Mataji's. Evam, thus, Gadihi, speech, Karma, the function of the hands, Gatihi, the function of the legs, Visarga, the functions of the genital, and anus, Granaha, smell, Rasaha, taste, Drik, sight, Sparshaha, touch, Shrutihi, hearing, Cha, also, Sankalpa, the mind's function, Vijnanam, the function of intelligence and consciousness, Atha, moreover, Abhimana, the function of false ego, Sutram, the function of Pradhana, or the subtle cause of material nature, Rajaha, of the mode of passion, Sattva, goodness, Tamaha, and of ignorance, Vikaraha, the transformation. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The functions of the working senses, the organ of speech, the hands, the legs, the genital and the anus, and the functions of the knowledge acquiring senses, the nose, tongue, eyes, skin and ears, along with the functions of the subtle senses of mind, intelligence, consciousness and false ego, as well as the function of the subtle pradhana and the interaction of the three modes of material nature, all these should be understood as my materially manifest form. Purport. By the word gadi or speech, the Lord concludes His discussion about His manifestation as Vedic vibrations and describes the functions of the other working senses, along with the knowledge acquiring senses, the subtle functions of consciousness, pradhana, and the interaction of the three modes of material nature. A Krishna conscious person sees the entire material world as a manifestation of Krishna's potencies, of the Lord's potencies. There is therefore no legitimate scope for material sense gratification, because everything is an expansion from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and belongs to Him. One who can understand the expansion of the Lord within subtle and gross material manifestations gives up his desire to live in this world. In the spiritual world, everything is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. The exclusive feature of the material world is that here the living entity dreams that he is Lord. A sane person giving up this hallucination finds no attractive features in the kingdom of Maya and therefore returns home back to Godhead. So this is the 12th chapter of the Uddhav Gita, where Krishna is giving his final instructions to his dear associate Uddhava. And Uddhava is one of the most intimate associates of Krishna, who is an embodiment of knowledge which he received from Brihaspati. Kim chitram achyuta tavetat ashesha bandho daseshu ananya sharaneshu yadatma sakam yo rochayat samrigai swayam ishwaranam Srimad Kirita Tatapidita Padapita. Uddhavji glorifies Krishna as one who is conquered by love of his devotees. And he says that you have created this material world to put the conditioned souls through suffering. Tapatrena vitasya ghore santapya manasya bhavadvanisha. Pashyamina anyat sharanam tavangri. Dvandvat patrat amrita bhivarshat. When the conditioned soul goes through suffering, they get a doubt in their mind whether the direction in which I am leading my life is appropriate or not. Pain exists for a purpose. Pain cannot be neglected, pain cannot be avoided, but the purpose of pain needs to be understood. And therefore, because we have sensation of pain, when we put our finger in a burning, flaming fire, because of that sensation of pain, we realize the finger is not in the right place. That is the purpose of the sensation of pain, to help us realize that I must eject my finger out from this fire. Therefore, we should not think that pain is bad. Pain cannot be categorized as good or bad, but we should know pain has a purpose. And therefore, Uddhav says, when the conditioned soul introspects what is the cause of this pain, then he tries to understand, yes, maybe I have done something wrong. Prabhupada was in Mayapur. A group of people came to meet him from Kolkata. Prabhupada said, what is the purpose of your visit? And they said, we have created one new society and we want to invite you for the inauguration of that in Kolkata. So Prabhupada said, what is your society? What is the purpose of your society? And they said, the purpose of our society is how the material world can be a wonderful place to live in. We want to share goodness in this world. Prabhupada said, if someone enters into a toilet and uses agarbatti, can that toilet become a good place to live in? They got the shock of their lives. They did not expect such a graphic example. So then Prabhupada said, when is your inauguration? They said, no, that's fine, I think we'll take care. So Uddhava says, any conditioned soul who goes through pain, Nanu bhuya na janati pumans vishaya tikshnatam nirvidyate swayam tasmat na tata bhinnadhi parai. When Narad Muni delivers the sons of Daksha, Daksha Prajapati gives this example to Narad Muni, that if they embark on the path of renunciation without going through sufficient pain, they will not become realized. So therefore Prabhupada writes in that purport that pain by itself is also not a sufficient condition for transformation. Pain creates the right questions as to what could be the purpose of that pain. But when the person in such an unfortunate condition of going through pain does not have the supreme fortune of having the Vaishnava satsang, then in spite of going through pain, he only raises questions in his head, doesn't get the answers. I remember when I was studying in school, I had a Sanskrit teacher who would ask all kinds of questions. What is Jiva? What is the world? What is Mrityu? What is Brahman? He asked many questions, never gave answer. So unless you get the appropriate answer, so there are many people who claim to have the answer. But even that is not sufficient because the appropriate answer must be there. So therefore, the greatest fortune which the jiva gets in this atmosphere of utter misfortune is when he gets the association of the Vaishnavas. And from the lotus lips of the devotees who have the right knowledge, they get the understanding of what I must do to overcome this pain. At that moment, from the Vaishnava satsang, the jiva realizes that I think I am going through pain, but looks like there is someone who is going through pain millions of times. And that is Krishna in the spiritual world, in the absence of all such souls who have rebelled against him. Therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when Maharaj Parikshit is about to die, he says, at the beginning of Brahma Vimohan Leela, in the 13th chapter, towards the end of the 12th chapter, he says, Vayam dhanyatama loke guropi kshatra bandhava vayam pibama muhustatta punyam Krishna kathamritam. He says, we are the most fortunate. Someone who is about to die in 3 days, 4 days, how can he consider himself to be the most fortunate? So, the Acharyas explain, to get the association of Vaishnavas is fortune. To hear the right spiritual knowledge from the lips of the Vaishnavas is greater fortune. To hear from the Vaishnavas the best kind of transcendental knowledge repeatedly is the highest fortune. And therefore Maharaj Parikshit considered himself to be most fortunate. Therefore, yes, the material world is a place of misery. It is designed to give pain. By design, it is pain. When you taste an ice cream, by design it is cold. You can't complain, hey, thanda hai. Ice cream is meant to be cold only. That is how it is designed. So like that, material world has been designed to continuously give us pain. Every atomic fraction is filled with unlimited pain waiting to be exploded by the switch of the time factor. It is only time which is separating us from experiencing that pain. And therefore, although we are surrounded by this pain, why we still manage to find some pleasure and forget that pain? That is the influence of Krishna's material energy. Atma maya rite rajan parasyano bhavatmana no ghatet artha sambandha swapna drashtur ivanjasa. Therefore, it is a dreamlike condition where we are dreaming that yes, this is pleasurable. In a dream, one sees various connections, various hallucinations, various experiences. But that pleasure is within the dream. So in the Bhagavatam it is described, if someone goes to sleep at night, and then at 11 o'clock in the sleep, you see a dream that you have set up a big company worth 1,000 crore. By 12 o'clock at night, the company has gone up to 50,000 crore. Then 2 o'clock in the morning, the company crashes. The stock market crashes and then you lose everything and you are in debt 2000 crores. You wake up crying, मर गया मर गया. बोले क्या हुआ? दिवाला निकल गया. बनाया कब था? You made the money where? In the dream. Lost the money? In the dream. So therefore, many times the impersonalists consider, because this is dream-like, so everything is dream. Right? So Shankaracharya, he said, energy, energetic, all one. So one time there was a tiger was chasing Shankaracharya. So Shankaracharya started running. And then he ran up a tree. And then tiger waited for some time. And tiger did not have like so much patience, so he left. So Shankaracharya came down. So there were a group of people. And they looked at Shankaracharya and said, hey, your philosophy is, everything is dream-like. Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. So if Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, tiger was Mithya. So when tiger attacked, why you ran? So Shankaracharya said, well, my running is Mithya. Tree is Mithya. My running up the tree is also Mithya. So therefore, the extent of word jugglery makes it extremely difficult for someone to actually understand what is the real solution for the soul who is going through the experience of pain. And so only a very rare soul actually connects with the right understanding of where is the exit door. When a place is on fire, it is a problem. But bigger problem is to find where is the exit and the right exit. So if you do not have the right information, you may jump right into the source of the fire. That's worse than trying to find what is the way to get out. And so here we find that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has specifically come in this age of Kali to share the message of the Gita in the way that the conditioned souls can appreciate. Krishna said to Arjuna, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Take my shelter. But then Krishna saw that the conditioned souls are not really taking his shelter so much. Because the age of Kali is such that people are quite dull-headed. And so they wait for someone to show them how to do it. And that's exactly the concept of tuition classes. You know, you have teacher teaching, but still you need extra coaching. Someone more personal who's sitting. And sometimes children want the parents to sit with them. And the children feel happy when the parents themselves are writing. And therefore one of my friends was telling me that I learned maths twice, once in school and once while teaching my son. So then when the children see, okay, they are also going through the same thing, they feel inspired. So therefore, Lord himself becomes a teacher. He himself goes through the process of devotional service. He himself takes shelter of a spiritual master, showing that in this material world, if you try to enjoy, you receive the mercy of Durga. And she gives her grace through her Trishul. Adi Devik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik. And therefore, if the conditioned soul wants to get out of this, then he has to take shelter of changing his desires, transforming his desires from trying to enjoy to trying to serve. So when the desire for sense gratification transforms into the desire to serve, then gradually the influence of Durga goes down, and the influence of the origin of Durga Devi, Srimati Radharani, that starts coming out. And therefore, as we are approaching Sri Radhastami tomorrow, we should appreciate the plan behind this entire gamut of things which has been laid down in front of the conditioned souls. That this is the opportunity for us to actually take the right shelter, to move from the disgrace of sense gratification to receive the grace through the service to the Vaishnavas. And so, the devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement are very eager to glorify the grace and the mercy of Srimati Radha Rani. So what exactly is the Radha Tattva? How to understand the position of Srimati Radharani? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and just like when we have the deity worship, we have a pujari who's worshipping the deity. The pujari is worshipping the deities, and so those who are onlookers, they come, and when they want to offer something to the deities, they cannot offer directly to the deities, they offer to the pujari. They offer it first to the pujari, then the pujari offers it to the deities. Many years ago, when I was doing pujari seva, someone came and offered me a bag. And I looked inside the bag, it was a pair of boxing gloves. I said to the guy, we can't offer this. He said, no, I attended Gita course. And in the Gita course they said, whatever new you buy, you offer it to the deities. So I am a boxer, I want to offer this to the deities. By the way, you are pujari, just do what I am saying. So then I took the boxing gloves, offered it and brought it back and gave it to him and said, okay, by the way, what you are going to do with this? He said, whoever I hit will get Gopinath's mercy. That was his understanding. So people come and offer kantimala, offer various things to the deities, and that is offered and given back. So therefore, the purpose and the duty and the job description of the pujari is to offer and worship on behalf of the devotees. When they are offering articles of worship, it is on behalf of the devotees. And therefore, the pujari, while offering and worshipping, has two functions. One, the pujari has to be totally absorbed in worshipping the deities. The pujari has to be completely absorbed in the worship. And to the extent the pujari is absorbed, to that extent the worship is perfect. Just like one of our sannyasis in the movement, he was sharing a story that when he first, in the late 60s, ISKCON had just begun. Devotees did not really have a detailed understanding of what deity worship is. So he transferred from one temple to another temple. When he went to that new temple, he was a new devotee, just got Brahman initiated. When he went to that temple, the pujari there, the head pujari there said that, well, I am going to some other place, you take over the deity worship. And he said, hey, I don't even know what it is. I just got Brahman initiation. He said, don't worry. Take articles. You have agarbatti, lamp, this, that. Just keep offering it. Well, in what sequence? He said, this is the sequence in which you offer. And then he left. Because that person was in a hurry to leave. So this devotee who took over, when he went for the first arati, That devotee while leaving said what is the order in which to offer, but did not tell him how long each article should be offered. So he offered this agarbatti for more than half an hour. Then the lamp for another half an hour. Overall arti took 3 hours. And then he was wondering, I am supposed to do 6 artis a day. That means 18 hours. So there is something wrong. Then he tried to figure out that whom to ask, because there was nobody. He was all alone. And then someone came and said, no, this has to be completed in 20 to 25 minutes. But he said, at that moment, we were so sincere. We had just got the Brahman initiation. We were totally focused and absorbed that while worshipping, we should not be thinking of anything else, even if it took so many hours. And then he was saying that at that point, there were a few Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra deities in ISKCON. And Prabhupada had not yet published enough information about Jagannath. And there was not methods for communication also. So this devotee was worshipping Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra for like 3 months. And then Prabhupada's letter came, said, I am very happy to know that after Brahman initiation you are worshipping deities, this, that. If you have any questions, let me know. So the devotee wrote to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, thank you for accepting me as a disciple, and I am very happy worshipping deities. I have only one question, who are these 3 whom I am worshipping? So today, with the information age, where everything available at the flick of a button, we find it so interesting that there was a point where information about the philosophy and the details about the process of worship was not so easily available. But this devotee was saying they were absorbed. So he was saying sometimes not knowing too much but still being absorbed is better than having too much knowledge but being distracted. So therefore, as a pujari, the first principle is absorption. Absorption in the worship. And therefore Srimati Radharani epitomizes this principle. She is the person who is known as the perfect worshipper of Krishna. She is perfect in her worship of Krishna. She is offering her complete existence for the pleasure of Krishna. So who is she? She is nothing but Krishna who is expanding himself in his own pleasure potency. Because when Krishna is so powerful, so strong, unlimited, he is bliss personified. Krishna is Atmaram, self-satisfied. Who can possibly give pleasure to Krishna? So therefore Krishna expands himself in the form of this own expansion, Hladini Shakti, that is the form of Srimati Radharani. So therefore, Krishna, when he wants to enjoy, he expands into this potency. And this potency, who is an expansion of Krishna, which exists for giving pleasure to Krishna, is in the form of, as Prabhupada says, the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. And therefore, just as the sun and sunshine are one and different, so Krishna and the potencies of Krishna are non-different. Srimati Radharani represents the fountainhead, the origin of all the energies. So Krishna is the supreme personality of the energetic And Srimati Radharani is the Supreme Personality of all the energies. And she is the origin of all the energies. So here it is described Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktir Asmat. So if any literature has attempted to describe in detail the Sri Radha Tattva, that is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's job description was to explain Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is such an esoteric and difficult to understand and comprehend tattva. So he has gone into great detail trying to explain who Srimati Radharani is. So he says, Radha Krishna ek atma dui deha dhari anyone vilase rasa aswadana kori. So Radha and Krishna are actually one, still they are different. Anyone vilase rasa aswadana kori. And they exist in these two forms to increase the ecstasy of love. And therefore, as Vasugosh says, Jadi gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito kemane dhoritam ge, Radhar mahima prema rasasima jagat janatake. That Krishna appears in Vrindavan 5,000 years ago to experience, taste love. Premarasa niryasa korite aswadan, raga marga loke bhakti korite pracharan. In Satyuga, there were no deities of Radharani. There were only deities of Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, and deities of Krishna standalone. In Treta Yuga, there were no deities of Radharani. The people were highly qualified. In Satyuga, people could fast for 10,000 years. They could take one breath once in a few hundred years. We can't even imagine in Kali Yuga. We start calculating, Nirjali is 1 month later. So therefore, in Kali Yuga, when we have such limited potency to do any kind of austerity, we cannot imagine how spiritually qualified they were. So the holy name was available even in Satyuga, but the super qualified, spiritually qualified personalities of Satyuga found it too easy. They didn't find it sufficiently challenging. So therefore they preferred doing the more difficult tapasyas. Right? Because when you have some ability, then to do something simple becomes also, not so exciting. Right? Like someone is very trained in classical music. So he has to take alap. He has to go up and down and, sing in a very elaborate manner. Why? Otherwise he feels, what is this? They're simple, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Saraswati Thakur had one disciple who was highly trained. So then he was singing the kirtan, and then Hare itself was going for like 2 minutes. And then whole Mahamantra itself took like 3 to 4 minutes to complete, because he was just going up and down alap. Saraswati Thakur came and said, better complete the mantra fast. Another of his singer disciple was sitting and singing in front of the deities. Rai Jago. Rai means Radharani. Right? So he was singing like with great alap, up and down, going up and down. Rai. So he was like going back and forth. Saraswati Thakur came and said, Tumi jago. You first wake up. So who are you to wake up Radharani? Understand your own qualification. So when we speak about the material world is a place of great suffering and misery. Within this, when we have the Radha and Krishna Tattva, in Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, there were no deities of Radharani for people to go and worship. Many people are not aware of this fact. And so the Radha Tattva was not easily made available. And why it is important to understand? Because amongst the different sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas also, there are various differences of opinion with respect to the Radha Tattva. And therefore, it is considered to be a very esoteric concept, which has been very limitedly, gradually being revealed. But the interesting thing is that Kali Yuga is like the most unqualified. Kali Yuga is, Prabhupada says, a royal edition of animals, where the animalistic tendencies are more easily exciting to people. So spiritually, Kali Yuga is absolutely unqualified. But just imagine, for the least qualified people of Kali Yuga, worship of Radharani has become easily accessible. How will you explain that? Someone is a PhD in mathematics. They are given, 1 plus 1 is equal to how much? 2 plus 2 is equal to how much? And someone is failed in maths in 10th standard 10 times. They are said, okay, we'll give you PhD in calculus. So one who is highly qualified in Kali Yuga, unqualified, they have been offered the opportunity of darshan, worship of Srimati Radharani. And more texts are available today to understand the Radha Tattva by the grace of Kaviraj Goswami. So therefore, Vasughosh is very aptly mentioning, Jadi Gaur na hoito tabe ki hoito. Because the Brajavasis, they just did pastimes with Krishna. And that is described to some extent in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Aho bhagyam nandagopa vrajokasam yanamitram paramanandam purna brahma sanatanam. The Brajavasis were very fortunate. So when we speak of the Brajavasis, it is not a cheap thing. What did the Brajavasis offer? We say we do yajna, and when you do yajna, you offer sacrifice. Yajna literally means sacrifice. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. When you offer yajna, you are sacrificing. And so when you have this fire sacrifice, you offer ghee, clarified butter, and then you say swaha, and you say idam namama, all of these things. In one of our temples on the west coast, one Indian family approached the ISKCON temple and said, we want some yajna. So the devotee went to their house and they said, we want an elaborate yajna. The devotee said, let us do Sankirtan, that is also yajna. Sankirtan yajna. They said, no, Sankirtan yajna. You want fire yajna. So they went and started the yajna. He said, no, more, bigger. So they made the fire bigger and suddenly the fire alarm went off. And when the fire alarm went off, immediately the sprinklers started and the whole house became filled with water. So this host said, hey, what is this? You didn't do the yajna properly, water everywhere now. So this devotee took out the Gita and said, Krishna says in Gita, when there is yajna, there is rainfall. Yajna is successful. And then he said, actually, Mahaprabhu has given a better yajna, because the root essence of yajna is ahankriti makarasyat na karatna nishedaka tasmatu namasa kshetri swatantriyam paritajyate. The essence of yajna is not sacrificing fruits, seeds, grains, clarified butter. These are just indicative. They are just methods, instruments to indicate that I am willing to sacrifice my opinion, my plan, my desire, my obsession, my thoughts, my conceptions of what I think is good or bad, right or wrong, favorable, unfavorable. I am willing to change the entirety of my plans. I am willing to have my plans smashed against the rock of your desire. Therefore, amongst all the elements in creation, the hardest element is not diamond, not iron. The hardest element is false ego. And therefore that false ego cannot be cut through any weapons of this creation, by any nuclear bombs of this creation, by any kind of brahmastra. False ego is such that it is the element which cannot be destroyed and pierced even by the time factor. Therefore, one of the 10 topics of Bhagavatam is Atra Sarga Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamotaya Manavantara Ishanukata Nirodha Muktir Ashraya. Before Mukti and Ashraya comes Nirodha. Nirodha means pralaya, dissolution. Pralaya or universal annihilation is one of the topics of the Bhagavatam to indicate that time can destroy all the elements, time can destroy all the kingdoms, time can destroy the entire creation, time can destroy the 14 planetary systems, time can destroy the greatest armies, time cannot destroy one thing, which is ignorance and false ego. And the only thing which can destroy that ignorance and false ego is Vaishnav Kripa. And therefore Vaishnav Kripa is the most powerful weapon available in the whole creation. Because that can destroy something which no weapon can destroy. That Vaishnav Kripa is more powerful than Kala Shakti. And therefore, Vasu Ghosh is saying here, Jodi Gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito, kemone dhoritamge. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya, Koroi Dase, Trinapekha Atihina. And so, when we please the Vaishnavas, then the grace of the Vaishnavas gradually dissolves that false ego. And that's what the Brajavasis' mood was. They were dynamic in their response to Krishna's desire. They never asked Krishna, why? Why should I do it? Krishna said, okay, don't worship Indra anymore. Worship Govardhan. They didn't say, why? They only asked, how? And therefore, they are extraordinary personalities. Otherwise, India has 700,000 villages. Every village has cows, buffaloes, bulls, cow dung. Every village has milk, cow products, huts, grains, agriculture. All those villages are not glorified. Why is this particular village so much glorified in the spiritual texts? Because the residents of that village, they moved their desire in tune with Krishna's desire. As Krishna's desire danced, the desire within the heart of these personalities in that village also danced in tune, in step with Krishna's desire. That dance is the Rasa Leela. Rasa Leela is not some kind of a cheap dance amongst people of this world for personal sense gratification. Taking sticks in the hand. Rasa Leela is that dance. And therefore, in Sanskrit, movement is called Vraj. And therefore, those residents of Vrindavan, their desires, their plans, their opinions moved dynamically with response to Krishna's plans. So when those who can keep tune with Krishna's plans, who can move their plans in tune with Krishna's plans, they are actually known as the Vrajvasis. And therefore, amongst the Brajvasis, that personality who could move her desire completely in tune with Krishna's desire, not even 0.001% separate. Amongst all of such personalities, the highest and the most apt is Krishna himself, who expands in the form of his pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani. And therefore, that is described here in this beautiful verse, that the Hladini potency is described as Hladinina Sara Prema Prema Sara Bhav Bhavera Paramakashtha Nama Mahabhav. Mahabhava Swarupa Shri Radha Thakurani Sarvaguna Khani Krishna Kanta Shiromani. That this potency of Hladini actually manifests in the form of Srimati Radharani. The essence of love of God is Bhava, and essence of Bhava is Mahabhava, and the personification of Mahabhava is Srimati Radharani. Mahabhava Swarupa Shri Radha Thakurani Sarva Guna Khani Krishna Kanta Shiromani. She is the supreme most amongst all of associates of Krishna. Krishna Prema Bhavita Yara Chittendriya Kai Krishna Nija Shakti Radha Kridara Sahaya. So what does Srimati Radharani do? Krishna Prema Bhavita Yara Chittendriya Kai. That she is completely filled with consciousness of Krishna. Krishna Prema Bhavita Yara Chitta Indriya Kai. She is only absorbed, thinking, meditating about how to please Krishna, how to serve Krishna. So therefore, without an iota of selfishness, without an iota of thinking of what will happen to me, if we start functioning, it appears it's insecure. How can I not think of my own benefit? The purpose of life is to do benefit for oneself. How can I make decisions, act, do things without thinking of myself and totally being absorbed in someone else? Will my benefit be taken care? Will I be secure? So, Krishna Prema Bhavita Yara Chittendriya Kai Krishna Nija Shakti Radha Kridara Sahaya. So Srimati Radharani and the gopis, their specific feature is they are constantly thinking simply about Krishna, trying to please him without keeping any selfishness within their heart. Without an iota of selfishness in their heart, they are constantly trying to please and serve Krishna. So when that happens, one may wonder, are they miserable? What is their experience? when they are constantly trying to fulfill Krishna's plans. Because it must be so much of anxiety to be constantly focused on what someone else is thinking, desiring, wanting, and to be dynamically responsive to that. It is so miserable. It sounds miserable. But it sounds miserable to the conditioned soul who is addicted to the drinking of the misery of selfish sense gratification. And therefore, we hear about the gopis, about the Brajavasis and Srimati Radharani to appreciate that real nectar is in selflessness. Real nectar is in meditating on Krishna's desire and trying to fulfill Krishna's desire, which manifest through various means. And that's the purpose of the Guru Parampara, that they are trying to give us a taste of that nectar of Vrindavan. So when Prabhupada established ISKCON temples, he said these temples are non-different from Vrindavan, which means that these temples exist to give us a flavor of Vraj. That means when we enter into these four walls, the precincts of this sacred premises, our thought process is supposed to change. We are supposed to ask, what is your desire? Right? So when Brahmanand Prabhu, in the initial 66, when Prabhupada just established ISKCON, he was still working outside. So Brahmanand Prabhu came to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, Swamiji, I am working. So now that you initiated me, maybe I should give up my job. Prabhupada said, no, you can continue your job. Offer your fruits to Krishna. So he said, oh, that's very interesting. So he continued the job. And then when the paycheck came, he came with the money and offered to Prabhupada. And he came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, now I have the money. So you said that I have to offer it to Krishna. How do I offer it to Krishna? Prabhupada said, offer it to me, I will offer to Krishna. So therefore, the process of approaching Krishna is through the devotees. So many times devotees say, I like the deities. They never tell me anything. But that's exactly the point, that the deities exist to attract our attention, to serve them. But how to serve them will be revealed by the devotees. And therefore, here we find that Srimati Radharani, her glory is she is constantly absorbed in serving Krishna. And so we find that in the example of Srimad Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri got that dream. And in that dream, Lord Gopal appeared and said, you go and get Chandan. So Madhavendra Puri could have told any of his disciples, hey, you go and get Chandan. Very important. Huh? Lord himself appeared. So Madhavendra Puri did not tell any of his disciples, you go and get the Chandan. I have just installed Gopalji deities. I have to sit here, stay here and enjoy the experience of being with these deities. No. He said, I will go. Nor did Madhavendra Puri question Lord Gopal, why you keep coming in my dream again and again? Why I am the only person whom you want to engage like this? Or he didn't negotiate, can we get the Chandan next year? Can we adjust this plan? So, in our case, when we hear of a plan, the false ego either tries to deny that plan, adjust that plan, postpone that plan, or we find it unacceptable. And therefore, it becomes practically impossible for us to enter into the spirit of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is that plain where there is not even an iota of dissension, not even a fraction of any kind of rebellion, where the wave of command begins from Krishna. And then the Brajvasis allow themselves to be drowned by the waves of Krishna's desires. So here, Madhavendra Puri immediately accepted, and he went all the way and took so much of austerity and trouble to come walk all the way to Orissa and then find that Chandan. But in the process, there was this pastime of the condensed milk, and the Lord stole the condensed milk for him. And he became famous because the Lord stole personally. Just imagine. That is quite uncommon. The pujari taking personally is fine. That is common. But the Lord personally taking for some devotee, that's very uncommon. So at that point, thousands and thousands of the villagers there, they started coming and worshipping Madhavendra Puri. And they were offering him to just stay there and become their leader. That was the test of Madhavendra Puri. Prabhupada said, I was tested twice. First, in the adversity of poverty, before I went to America. Then, in the opulence of prosperity, after I established. So, seva to Krishna is beyond adversity and prosperity. And so, pratishtara bhaya puri gela palaiya, Krishna preme pratishtha chale sange gadaiya. Purir prema parakashta karah vichar, vichara korite chitte lage chamatkar. Pragada premere e swabhava achar, nijadukka vignadhira no kore vichar. So Madhavendra Puri is being described that he became afraid of all of that worship, and he remembered, I have come here not to be worshipped by these people, but to actually get the Chandan. He did not forget his mission. So sometimes Krishna tests us with various kinds of attractions which may create intermission. And if we take the intermission too seriously, we will forget the mission. And therefore he continued, Krishna preme pratishtha chale sange gadaiya. So here is described, Ei tar gad prema loke dekhaite, Gopal tare chandan anite. Gopal actually wanted to demonstrate, see the power of Madhavendra Puri's love, how he is not concerned with anything else except service. Bahu parishrama chandana remuna anila, Anand badhila mane dukkha na ganila. Madhavendra Puri considered only one thing. What is Lord Gopal's desire? His desire is to get this Chandan. Whatever may be the difficulty I have to go through, I will go through. Bahu parishrama chandana remuna anila. He brought that Chandan to Remuna. And as he was bringing that Chandan to Remuna, Anand badhila mane dukkha na ganila. He did not count the amount of distress he had to go through. Very interesting point. Dukkha na ganila. Whatever we take seriously, we count it. If you take money seriously, you will count it. When someone goes to take a new job, he doesn't say, what salary you expect? Whatever you give. Causeless mercy. Huh? If somebody is doing business, how much profit you made? Kya pata? Sab Bhagavan ka hi hai. So nobody will take it seriously. So if you are taking something seriously, you keep a count. If somebody is losing weight, they keep count. of every calorie which they eat. Right? Only this much you can eat. And if someone is not serious about losing weight and has no problem of weight gain or weight loss, can go on eating. No problem. Right? One of our Gurukul children, they were on a tour, on a Padyatra, and they came to one Dharamshala. And they are fasting for 2-3 days. So Dharamshala said, okay, 50 rupee plate, eat whatever you want. They went on eating. The hotel owner, by seeing their size, could not understand their power. After half an hour, he came to them and said, next time, please, I will tell you other hotels where you can go. Don't come here. So, Ganila means count. So when you are not serious about something, you don't keep a count. But when you are serious about something, you keep count. So therefore, when we are only concerned with pleasing the master, then we don't keep count of the discomfort, difficulties which we may go through. In a relationship, if I am concerned about myself, I will keep detailed count of what all I did for you, what all sacrifices I made. Detailed count. To be brought up later. But in the relationship, Prabhupada says, every relationship has scarcity, impediment, discomfort, unhappiness. But if the main aspect of the transaction in that relationship is pleasure to you, then one is willing to go through a lot of pain without keeping a count. Ananda badila mane dukkha na ganila. He did not keep count. That is the characteristic feature of all the residents of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So therefore, when you see the pastime of Rasa Leela, it is not such a cheap thing. Because Krishna also played the flute in the middle of the night. For you and me, if Krishna plays the flute at night, first question we'll ask, can we adjust the time? Should we have it at night only? The whole idea of the Brajavasis is, whatever is Krishna's will, we will do it. That's a very, very high stage. And amongst them, the person who could do it without a blemish is Srimati Radharani. Therefore, when we are struggling to adjust and change our, insignificant desires, and we have such a struggle to harmonize our desires with the devotee's desire, where our false ego keeps pulling us back, we need help in this struggle. And that's why on the occasion of Radhastami, we pray to Srimati Radharani that your desires are in 200% harmony with Krishna's desires. My desires are in such disharmony with devotees' desires. Can you help me? With your mercy, with your grace. And therefore, Pariksha korite Gopal koila agyadan, Pariksha hoila sheshe hoila dayavan. When Madhavendra Puri was tested, Pariksha korite Gopal, he tested him by giving him that instruction. So when the devotees give us their instruction, their order, their desire, it is a test to see how eager are you to enter into that arena where the only thing which rules is others' desire. That is Golok. So you may be very enthusiastic. I have to go to Golok. I have to go to Golok. But what happens there? You simply dance in tune with Krishna's desire. Are you ready? You can't go there and then say, अच्छा अभी मेरा कब चलेगा यहाँ पे? हाँ, right? You can't go there and say, मैं कब फ्लूट बजाऊंगा? वही बजाते रहते हमेशा. So there is no place for such thoughts there. Huh? It is not that dancing in Ras Leela going on and then you take a sleeping bag and sleep in some corner. अरे बहुत हो गया, नचाते रहता है. कोई ठिकाना नहीं कब बंद करेगा ये. There is no place for all these things. So when one is completely extinguished all such desire, then because there one has to live for eternity. ऐसा नहीं कि हम लोग शुरू करते हैं सेवा, सोचते हैं अब कब खत्म कब होगा. The first question we ask, कब तक. हाँ, थोड़ा बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना, कब तक कुकिंग करना, कब तक. First question is ending point. So here spiritual world is eternity, for rest of eternity. So it cannot be that someone goes there and thinks फंस गया यार इधर, निकलने का कोई तरीका है क्या? No, it is for rest of eternity. Therefore it is such a responsible thing, and therefore the process for allowing entry there has been given in the hands of the Guru Parampara. That select only the appropriate people, because they are answerable. If unqualified people come, the Guru Parampara is questioned by the Lord, hey, kisko bhej diya? Oh, galti ho gaya. So therefore Guru means heavy. So only those who are totally qualified will be allowed. So I remember Radhanath Maharaj spoke something many years ago. When you practice bhakti very intensely, very seriously, full focus, taking great amount of pain, then you will make gradual advancement. So therefore, we may have eaten halwa, sweet rice and joined the association, but we should know what this is. Right? We are here for a very, very serious task, and that is a task of purifying our desires and putting our desire in harmony with Krishna's desire. And therefore that is the first aspect of Radharani as a pujari, completely absorbed in worshipping Krishna. Second is whatever she receives from Krishna, she doesn't keep anything for herself. She just distributes it. So the pujari, whatever he gets as Mahaprasad, he distributes. So therefore, if you have to worship, when anything is being offered to Krishna, the pujari can't keep anything for himself. He has to be transparent in offering everything. Whatever comes back, he has to be transparent in distribution. And the best amongst that is Srimati Radharani. Right? You can't be like offering things which you don't like. Karela, offer. Sweet rice. Thoda nikal ke rakho. You can't make that adjustment. This way and that way. Whatever comes, 100% transparency. Therefore, amongst all the worshippers, Anaya Aradhito Nunam, one who is perfect in worshipping Krishna, in offering with absorption to Krishna and distributing Krishna's mercy and grace to every soul, she is Srimati Radharani. And today we are preparing our consciousness so that we can celebrate her appearance day tomorrow with a day full of prayer, in the mood of being a beggar. Why? Because Krishna expects us to harmonize our desires with his desires. Our heart is filled with so much of disharmony. We need her grace, so that by her grace we are actually able to serve the Vaishnavas who are agents who help us transform, purify our desires so that those desires are in harmony with Krishna's desires. With that prayer on Radhastami, on the eve of Radhastami, let us prepare our consciousness so that we can enter deep into that mood in the entirety of tomorrow's celebrations. Thank you all very much.
Hare Krishna. Today's breakfast prasad is sponsored by Nag